Give a middle-class person $1,000 and give a wealthy person $1,000. Within 30 days, you can already predict who's going to be richer in 10 years. Not because of luck, not because of a head start, because of what they do in the first 72 hours after that money hits their account. Welcome to Warren's Portfolio. Here's the uncomfortable truth. The wealthy aren't wealthy because they earn more per hour than everyone else. Many self-made millionaires built their fortunes on completely ordinary incomes. The real divide isn't income. It's what happens to the first dollar after it arrives.
There's a specific, almost robotic sequence that wealthy households follow with new money, and a completely different, emotionally driven sequence that middle-class households follow with the exact same amount. One sequence compounds, the other one evaporates. And by the end of this video, you're going to know exactly which sequence you've been running your entire life and exactly how to flip it.
Let's start with the middle class sequence, because most people watching this are living it right now without even realizing it has a name. $1,000 windfall arrives, a bonus, a tax refund, a side gig payment. The first emotional response is relief. Finally, some breathing room. That relief almost immediately turns into a mental list of things that have been deserved but delayed. A nicer dinner, a long overdue purchase, something that we've earned. This isn't a character flaw. This is a documented psychological pattern called mental accounting. The brain treats windfall money differently than earned money, as if it's somehow less real, less serious, more disposable. Studies in behavioral economics have repeatedly shown that windfall income gets spent at dramatically higher rates than regular income, specifically because people don't perceive it as real money in the same way. So the $1,000 gets divided. Some goes to a small upgrade, some goes to debt that gets paid down slightly, some goes to just this once spending. Within a few weeks, it's gone. Nothing was built. Nothing compounds. The financial position is essentially unchanged from before the money arrived. Now here's the open loop. The wealthy household receiving that same $1,000 doesn't feel more disciplined. They don't have superhuman willpower. They're running a different sequence, one that was installed, often by environment, sometimes deliberately learned.
Here's the wealthy sequence, broken into its actual components. First, the money is immediately mentally relabeled, not as extra cash, as capital. This single reframe changes everything downstream, because capital has a job, spending money does not. Second, a portion, often the majority, goes toward an asset that can appreciate or generate income. This might be an index fund contribution, a debt payoff on something charging double-digit interest, or a direct investment in a skill or business that increases future earning capacity. This is the concept of paying yourself first formalized, treating your future net worth as a non-negotiable expense, not a leftover. Third, and this is the part almost nobody talks about, wealthy households often allocate a small, deliberate portion toward enjoyment, not because discipline failed, but because sustainable wealth building requires the system to feel survivable, not punishing. The difference isn't wealthy people never enjoy money. The difference is sequencing. Capital first, enjoyment second, intentionally, not accidentally. Here's the math that makes this gap explode over time. $1,000 invested in a diversified index fund, compounding at a historical long-term average of around 7% annually after inflation, becomes roughly $1,967 in 10 years without adding another dollar. $1,000 spent on lifestyle upgrades in week 1 becomes exactly $0 in 10 years, and often becomes negative if any portion of it was financed on a credit card carrying double-digit interest. This is the entire wealth gap in miniature, not bigger paychecks, sequencing, repeated relentlessly across every windfall for decades. And here's the open loop resolving completely. This isn't about willpower, because willpower is unreliable and exhausting to rely on for 30 years. The wealthy sequence works specifically because it removes willpower from the equation through automation and pre-decided rules.
So here's the exact framework to install the wealthy sequence into your own first $1,000. 5 steps. Step 1. The moment unexpected money arrives, do nothing for 48 hours. This single pause interrupts the mental accounting bias before it can spend the money emotionally. Step 2. Relabel it immediately. Write down literally, this is capital, not cash. Language changes behavior more than people expect. Step 3. Apply the 80-15-5 split. 80% toward debt payoff or investment, whichever carries the higher effective interest rate. 15% into accessible savings, 5% guilt-free, spent on whatever you want, no questions asked. Step 4. Automate the 80% the moment is decided. Move it before lifestyle creep or just this once spending can claim it. A transfer that takes 10 seconds today saves you from a decision fatigue trap tomorrow. Step 5. Repeat this exact sequence every single time windfall money arrives. Bonuses, refunds, gifts, side income, until it requires zero willpower. because it's simply what you do. Here's the truth this entire comparison reveals. The wealthy aren't smarter with money. They're more sequenced with money. And sequences can be copied by absolutely anyone, starting with the next $1,000 that lands in your account. Warren didn't inherit a system. He installed one, dollar by dollar, windfall by windfall, until it became automatic. And if you want to see exactly how this same 80-15-5 sequence scales once you're working with $10,000 instead of $1,000, because the percentages shift in a way most people get wrong, that breakdown is coming in the next video. Subscribe now, because the moment you have real money, this is the math that protects it. This is not personal finance. This is financial warfare. And the first $1,000 you handle correctly, that's the one that teaches your hands what to do with every dollar after it.